Well, today, same old, same old. Follow me screaming stuff. It's funny, a sheriff rode by on a motorcycle, and then a can officer after him, and that white SUV that harasses me had just turned and went the other way, or went straight the other way. Just missed him. We went over to Save-A-Lot and Whipple, and they were outside driving around. Well, my client had to take the car back, and where you could just hear him like scream off in the distance. It's like, they were caught. Melissa's kids were caught stating on Thanksgiving of 18, we're making it all up to Flora. People like screamed and drove the other way. I get back, I'm helping my client carry in groceries. Two of the guys that watch me are walking down the street. We know they got caught altering their tapes and started laughing. They did. A long time ago. And drugging me. And Dave drugging me. And the church people. Illegal surveillance is always thrown out, no matter what. It has to be police and hire, murder investigation only. They cannot set up cameras and watch you unaware in your home for any reason. They were even driving by and having people get out of vehicles and say, the attorney said, yeah, right, no one ever talked to her. Yeah, right, no one did. It comes down to that. Yeah, right, no one did. They even said off in the dark, Chris, did no man really talk to her? No, we used truth serum on her instead. What part of sodium pentothal, false confession sodium pentothal? Questioner gets what it wants, right or wrong. You say yes to everything. False confessed on the board. It's lethal and it's outlawed and it's spy flick movie stuff. You cannot break in and stab some woman with a needle in her sleep and tell her to say something stupid. I had bruises up and down my arms and on my legs. And where I was moving wood, I thought, how am I getting banged up so bad? Here they were breaking and stabbing me in my sleep before I called FBI. And people said they were choking me and doing sick stuff. They had seen it. I'm glad I don't remember it. The beat rape torture between July and September 19th. I remember that. It was the most horrible night of my life. Almost being murdered and being stalked is horrifying. It scares the hell out of you. And it pisses the hell out of you. It does both. But you got away. There was times up there I was so afraid. My breath was cold leaving my body, and I couldn't get warm. If you go to probably March or April of 19, outside the hair salon of Walmart 62, there'll be a man and a lady there. He'll say she talks in riddles. So no one understands her. She refers to her husband as playing God. Who's God? The woman replied, said, I don't understand. God holds life and death in his hands. Her husband's trying to kill her. That's her secret. She said, is that what's going on? I was sitting in Faith Family Church, probably January of 19. And there was an old guy with a lady there. And my pastor was preaching of the FBI watching him because somebody had put a threat on his life. And he prayed and cried for a whole year while they watched him and made sure he was safe before they moved on. And I'm looking at the ceiling, exhaling. And the lady went, "What's her problem?" He said, "Oh, people are threatening her life and trying to kill her." She's like, "Is that what's going on?" He said, "Yeah, there's people threatening her life and they're trying to kill her." Well, I emailed today the Portage County Sheriff's, and I emailed Abigail Watkins, Portage County Prosecutor. Now, a year ago in October, October and November, I had went up and reported Dave myself. The state representative showed up, and he walked off with the lady officers. And they walked me out, and she blamed it on the FBI. She said, "Run around telling everyone you know and hold the FBI accountable. People got away with way too much. Go make a report at the Portage County Sheriff's." And it was them doing it to me. Lied to me. Because a real FBI agent talked to Walter, Stark County prosecutor. None of the bad stuff was the FBI. They weren't the druggers, they weren't the chippers, and they weren't the rapists. It wasn't them. Where these people have ran around pretending they're FBI and they're not, and telling people they're agents and they're officers, they're in a lot of trouble. Well, I emailed Abigail and I emailed the Portage County Sheriff's. What part? Now, they know me as an informant up there. The undercover police have watched me. Okay. I said, what part of Will from the FBI as an informant, and you know I'm an informant for him, did you not understand what he said? No man was ever to touch me. Nothing legally stated dated against me again. And I went on a life of peace, accused of no wrongdoing. Did you not understand? And your undercover police did not understand. I told her, I said, you need to better fix this, or I will sue. There's not a lot of attorneys that'll sue the FBI, but there's a ton of them that'll sue the police for misconduct and abuse. And pretending they're FBI agents and they're not, it's really not funny. And then abducting some woman, actually kidnapping them from their home and doing illegal surgery, breaking in, stabbing them with needles. And then under amnesia drugs, telling them to say something stupid. And here they were illegally surveillancing me and altering tapes and putting clips together so it made me look like I was weird with myself, and I just wiped off water. So it was a shower scene. They were laughing that I figured out what they did because the way they described it. And then stopping it, letting Dave roofie me and telling me to say something stupid, and the church people and witnesses have came forward and told on them. And more informed under tape and audio in stores. And yes, they knew I was innocent. Like I said, Thanksgiving of 18. Melissa's kids were caught stating they made up the whole thing to court. They interviewed my whole family. They spoke highly of me. 18. They let me know by 19. And then they reconfirmed it under tape and audio in Walmart and Walgreens. then more people knowing that it was all them and not me. Yeah, you can't be in somebody's home and watch them not be police and hire in a murder investigation only without a conflict of interest. And Judge Pete Stalker throws it out. Oh, I made sure I put that one in there too. And how they even they stayed out of the shooting night. And the woman that's complaining that her husband died that night. And it was one of their officers that raped me, and I described him. I said, you either fix this or I'll sue. I'm still waiting for Sheriff Holster to get back. Walter had asked me to speak with him, and when I did, he said he'd see what he can do, and I said, well, the FBI had told Walter that if you can't fix it, they will. That it's your job to arrest these people. And he said, well, let me see what I can do, and I'll get back to you. Well, he's not been answering phone calls. Well, if he don't, I'll just go down to the Tuscarora Sheriff's. They know me as an informant. Karen, what have you been up to? I know, I just drove by real quick. My car is bugged. I'll tell you what, Portage County Courthouse will be saying we did not illegally surveillance this woman. My God, one of our police officers raped her. My God, some of them drugged her. My God, some of them abducted her and had a chip put in her head. My God. Oh, I sent the law of justice for victims of torture and terrorism acts to the Portage County Sheriffs and Abigail Watkins. And illegalizing the chip too. And drugging people. I told them, I said, you better fix this or I'll sue. And there's a million attorneys at sue, please. Because we wouldn't have had the problem of the 2 young African American officers with dreadlocks. We stayed out of the gunshot night because Steve's girlfriend's prettier. And the guy running it didn't blame us and find out it's their father. It's not funny that the Asian lady's husband's dead and the guy's crippled, is it? And I had to hide not to get murdered. And when I tried to report him in 19, they raped and tortured me and warned me to stay quiet. And they were breaking and stabbing me with needles until I started blocking doors. These people are highly, highly dangerous. These people think it's funny to make fun of their victim, that they basically like have in a cage and they watch them through a screen as they drive by and torment them. That they drugged before, photoshopped, and then acted like they were FBI, keep stabbing me with needles so I couldn't put 2 thoughts together and I'd leave. And I'd be lucky if I got home alive, if someone didn't try to shoot me, or if I had stalkers and I had to run. No one knows what it was like up there. It's like being in an action movie. I literally, every day, I'd get up and I'd pray. Humbly before God. Lord, bless and protect me always and keep me safe. And help me get back home. And if I don't make it out, let them get caught going through me and at me, so no one else gets hurt. And always keep my family safe always. In Jesus' name, amen. It was my humble prayer every day. Lord God, bless and protect me and keep me safe always. Help me get back home safe today. And if I don't make it back, let them get caught going after me so no one else gets hurt. and keep my family safe always. In Jesus' name, amen. I load a gun. I have a concealed carry. And I would either put it in my pocket or in my concealed carry purse. And I'd leave. Do you know how many times I ran from stalkers? Do you know how many times the good men that did help me out chased off stalkers? Blocked aisles while they grabbed them? Do you know how many times? I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the good ones. And by the grace of God, you know, there's times I looked at the sky and it's like, God, where are you with this? Where are you? You know where he was? I got on 62, and where Dave said that he had a gut man to put a bullet in me if I tried to run. He knew I was leaving early. And I just happened to look over as a man was pulling a gun towards my head and just started to pull the trigger back. And if I wouldn't have looked at that moment and slam dunk and swerve, and we were doing 60, he went forward, I went back. It was in that moment of me looking, or I would have got shot in the head driving that day. I pulled over and I cried rivers of tears. It took me a long time to get myself together. I was supposed to have coffee with my oldest that day. And David already had a hit on Dixie and the baby's life. And he had looked at me and told me, Karen, realize I will kill everything you love in life. And I thought, over my dead body, you'll go through me first and get caught. And I'm pacing around at John's, and Gus is eating his leash, his dog. And I'm looking at the sky, where are you, God? And God was back in that moment. When I just looked. Because if I wouldn't have looked, I would have got killed. And I'm pacing, and John's talking about having God's Spirit in his life. And I'm looking at the sky, and I can't even stop pacing. And then he's talking about Job and churches, and it's like I don't like churches. And he's looking at me like I'm nuts, and I want to fall to my knees and scream. And he said, what about your life, Mom? And I said, it's worth a 25-cent bullet. And he just looked at me like I was nuts. And I was trying to hold it together. You know, we went in to have our coffee, and he's like, Mom, churches are good until they go rogue. And he looked at me, and for a moment, I looked up and our eyes connected. And I looked up, and he just looked at me. And he was mumbling stuff as he walked up. And it didn't make sense. But there was just, yeah. You know how not funny this is? I told you that one girl on the phone where they say they have tapes before, they nailed Dave. They nailed Dave. They would actually nail Dave and the churches and that Terry. They would actually nail them. They would nail them. Because the 21st of September, I opened a bank account at Huntington Bank. It was the 21st or the 20th of September at 3 to 3:30 in the morning. I love you, but I love her more, Karen. I'm so sorry. You have to die for it. As he rubs my head and he kisses me and rubs his beard and he pushes me into the bed and he squeezes me. I'm so sorry, Karen, you have to die for. I hired a man to slit your throat, stab you in the heart. You'll bleed out, Karen. But if you run for it, I got a man put a bullet in you. And for 30 minutes, he held me down, kissing me and hugging me. I was so afraid if I moved it, he would kill me. It was turning him on, too. It was so sick what he was doing to me. And I just laid there for 30 minutes watching. Like I said, I finally got enough nerve to go to China. Where are you at, Karen? I'm buying you something for dinner. It'd be lunchtime. 11, 12. I got a phone call to make. Please do that. I get my groceries. I go to get a flu shot where I've been crying. I got just, and I sat down on a bench. I can't believe she's here. I go to walk up, like Coco. He comes up right behind me. I stand right there now if it wasn't for that security guard. And I couldn't scream. And I make a beeline right for Huntington Bank. I want to open an account, got right in front of somebody. A blonde lady from Pizza Hut comes up. I get paid to watch her. Anchor's like, lady, stay out of it. He said, no, I get paid to watch her. He said, lady, I mean it, stay out of it. It won't be worth it, man. And she's leaning her face down, laying on the counter. So you can't see her on the monitor. He said, I mean it, lady, it won't be worth it, man. She's like, no. And that black-haired guy walks out around me. The one that tried to kidnap me. And then she walks out. And they would have that Monday or Wednesday before it, Terry on the phone. I'm watching that guy, lady's kid that pays me $10 an hour. But I thought I was getting baby. I didn't hang up, and she had me on the counter. She still doesn't know. Guess who's on the phone with? You're kidding. I almost tricked. She left me on speaker on the counter. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer where those two guys would show up and take care of her. You know where they pay people to know where she's at. I could have used the money. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer where those two men would take care of her. No one in the church would help her. Well, that's about as bad as Kaylee. She used another minister to, because Keith charged too much money. Well, you know, I was in a meeting and hired those two men to kill her. It was Keith Bishop, Strange, and Ron. And they took up $25,000 to hire those two men to murder her. Because Ron wants her dead because she got wealthy or his kid died. No, guys. No. Did get wealthy or his kid died. Nothing to do with that kid's death. Phil was late for a baseball game in 2003. And he ran a stop sign. I saw my hand. Blew up their vehicle. Phil wasn't showable until I got ejected. Dead instantly both. Family. 30 miles away. 8 months later I got well. And it took me months later to get all the way well. Nothing to do with anything. They lost it at the funeral. Literally laying his body like a 3-year-old on the ground screaming, ah! And they had to carry him out. Before that, he was laying his body across that child's body, screaming, God, raise him from the dead. 8 years later at Blaylock's pulpit, I hate God for taking the thing I love the most. Not demeaning my other children, but I hate him. Blaspheming God. He's a millionaire. And Strange told everybody I was faking I was sick. And faking I got one. And I have documents I was sick. That's how sick this is. He's always manipulated people. That's how not fun this is. Like somebody said, that's the case. Dave to get everything and them to get even with me. Because Strange lied to him I was sick and I was sick. When I was really sick, that's the case. Everything else is an obstruction to justice, premeditated. If I didn't die. You want to play FBI? We'll play Will. I have never been accused or charged of wrongdoing. I have never been asked questions of it. You want to play FBI? I have never been accused or charged or questioned of wrongdoing. You want to play FBI? No man has. And if somebody really made an accusation against me when I called Will, he would said, look, lady, they're saying this about you. And he did. Because he didn't know. They were illegally surveillancing me and altering tapes and drugging me before. He didn't know. And neither did that officer in August when I had a light in the security system. He thought it was an alien orb or an angry spirit and told me to buy a big dog and let a dog handle him. Because that's called a write-up. See what I mean? They didn't know they were there. And I'll tell you what, not everybody in the courthouse is bad. The one officer, he's older, he's got gray hair. I go in, hey, sweetie, how are you? And several of them were very kind to me. There's just a few that are going along with this and George Pete and that dirty attorney. They said at the Hunger Task Force last Monday or Tuesday that it's some guy named Eric trying to help him get away with all this. 2 guys were there. And they said we found out that that guy knew that they did all this before. And he didn't say anything. And we're mad. And security's walking around with their walkie-talkies. Informants here. No one's to say anything to her. Do they not realize being an informant don't go away? It's like being in the witness protection program, but a different agency. Did they think if I just told it'd go away? I think that's what they thought. They didn't understand what he said. And like one person said, that one guy told on her the night before, and they don't care who she tells them. He already told Dave in the bad churches. And then these people sold the lock-in by January 19. And everybody's got it. If not everybody, quite a few. Thousands and thousands of people. They made a lot of money at my expense. And they're sick, and these people are too stupid to be afraid of, not to be afraid of them. Saying, my God, do you know, even in our Constitution, the military can't even go in and take over your home. You have a right to privacy. They can only surveillance you under murder. And they would at least talk to me. It wasn't a murder investigation until September 27th of 18 when I talked to Will. And he wanted to make sure I had a witness of them threatening me. And I said, Sarah, at Case Shore. And I'll tell you what, the other women that worked in there talked to that Katie too, and they knew it too. I mean, you want to play? Because they were leaving it all over the mall. They want like somebody said, they don't care who she tells. That guy told on her. It don't matter. And if I would have remembered, hey, Will, do you know some guy told on me last night? But I was so busy and the guy threatened to knife me in Giant Eagle. I had the water shame guy, realizing that one guy is the guy that tried to kidnap me and try to carjack. And Dave was part of the attempted break-in. The officer was right. I'm sorry. I get flashbacks. Torture. Do you ever get over it? Do you? I had got better. I had quit smoking and I was eating healthy and walking. And they have their children make fun of me for being right and tortured when I tried to help them easily. She said her husband got killed on the gunshot. And I tried to get her help. And they tortured me with that on the internet for people's personal enjoyment. What do you do with it? What do you do? And these people are so stupid. They think it's funny to make fun of their victim. What do you do with it? What do you do? What do you do with it? Yeah, they knew I was innocent, like the guy said. I knew they framed her before. I know they drugged her before. Like the guy at the Hunger Task Force. We always knew the tapes before were them, not her. That's why we never said anything. Like they told Ed at Oakland apartment. I can go on and on with the people and the witnesses that came forward of knowing I was drugged and framed and photoshopped. They were the young guys that watched me walk down the street today. They're back. Walk off real quick. They got caught off during their tapes. Yeah, they did. A long time ago. Breaked into people. This is their permanent plan to do away with me. They should have just shot me. I mean, my God, they were already stabbing me with needles. Why didn't they just make it look completely lethal? I mean, seriously. I want the chip out. A warned by reading my thoughts. It's horrible. It can be removed. I did research on it and the hospital confirmed it. It can be removed. They're going to go back to normal. It's a legal strategy for the truth. Well, I made sure I sent that to Abigail and the Borders County Sheriffs. It comes with a 20-year sentence. And I made sure I told them none of the bad stuff was the FBI. It was them. And I knew it. And if they don't fix it, I will sue. And I get an attorney. They subpoena the FBI for those dates. It's going to be, my God, that officer did what? My God, that officer did what? These people aren't smart enough to be afraid of dirty cops, a dirty judge, and a dirty attorney. They could do it to them, and they already could be doing it to them, and they don't know. Ouch. You have a little tiny black and blue mark on you. Think, where did I put myself? I had them everywhere. I had them up and down my legs. I had them on my arms. I thought it was from movie one. I couldn't figure out how I banged myself up so bad. They said they were abusing me and doing sick stuff before. And these people aren't smart enough to be afraid of them. Somebody needs to get down here. And if the police don't want to arrest other bad police and a bad judge, then the FBI needs to step up. There was 5 judges that had 41 people raped and framed before they were stopped. 41 lives before they were stopped. Think of it. Who's going to stop them? Because they are daring people to do it. And all their tapes before, like they said, are them, not her. And like Reinhardt said from Louisville, we can't look, we can't listen. It's illegal too. They had no right in your home. Think of that one. We have a constitution that protects us from everything that happened to me. I still live in the United States of America, where the government cannot hurt its people. So you won't have to worry about dirty cops putting 2 clips together and making them porn. So it's not just simple wiping off water. You just adjust yourself. You didn't expose yourself. You're good. You're weird with yourself. Blah, blah. And I'm like, that never happens. Huh? And then they're like this and that. And it's like, well, only time I touch myself, shower. Go outside, guys are laughing. She figured out what they did. And then when they came out, Dave drugged me before. And then the church people. And they never give up. And they all know I was drugged and framed. They think it's funny. They think it's funny to victimize people around you. They're not smart enough to be afraid of them. They're not smart enough to say, my God, they did this to this lady. Call the FBI. If the police won't arrest him, call the FBI. My God, we all know what happened to her. I went down to Taco Bell on Canton to get a drink, and some little kid looked at me and said, we all know what happened to Karen. Well, at least this time when I went to the laundromat, that little kid didn't make fun of me. Last time, some kids were laughing at me for being raped. Some lady told him to cut it out. They said, well, I thought they said they raped her because, and they said, no, they made that one up. She tried to get someone help and these people raped her. Won't say anything to her anymore. Get that. And they're hiding behind badges and ropes. And I don't know them. Think of that. They break in and stab you with needles, attack you, hold you down, smother you until you pass out, drug you, and read a confession out, and put it up for people's enjoyment and dare people to arrest them. They will abduct you from your home and put a chip in you and blame the FBI. And it wasn't them. I feel horrible for thinking it was them, but they kept walking around Walmart and other places. The case is called Karen's Well Agency. And they kept blaming everything on the agency. My brother, Greg M. Davis, worked at the Pentagon under Dick Cheney. He was a private consultant for the FBI. He was unrestricted, wore weapons, and worked for Dick Cheney. One of the guys said the way he described himself, he was CIA, and he worked for CIA and FBI. He traveled the world, and he was a handsome, brilliant genius, and kind, sweet, and geeky, and the sweetest man you ever met. And he died. And if he was alive, he'd get these people. Huh. Both CIA and FBI came to his funeral, and Dick Cheney with his guards. That's why I couldn't figure out why would the men be mean to me. Why, when I asked them for help, it wasn't them. The guys with the earbuds would show up. We take turns taking care of her when she's out. But they let the undercover police up there watch. And they were the ones doing it. And then blaming them. Of all things, somebody needs to help me. I should not die for Judge Pete's daughter. A little blonde girl. You know, I was wondering why the district attorney's office showed up. Oh, May or June of 19, I met Kelsey at Meskers Park to play with Riley, my granddaughter. And we're running around. She's asking me, do you know who Dave's girlfriend is? And I said, well, honestly, I don't. And it was back then I didn't. And honestly, I don't. People kept leaving on Michelle's name, and I thought it was Michelle Calco. This one girl at this church. And then they talked about a Lauren, and then this big heavy-set blonde girl. Her parents were bragging they were going to steal everything I have in life. And then a real pretty dark-haired girl said she was sleeping with Dave. It's like he went mail-whore on me. And we're talking, and I walked up, and this group of people were there, and they looked at me and said, we're from the district attorney's office. Well, I'm so used to that. Because when I go in stores, we're from the Freemasons, we're from the district attorney's office, we're from the state, we're from here, we're here to help. We're even from the bar association. And they'd scare her. Or they'd surround me and chase people off. So people telling me when I'm walking by, hey, we're from here. I think they're there to guard me. But one of the comments, the one walk guy said, she doesn't know his girlfriend is right here. They came down to find out if I knew. It's Judge Pete's daughter. His wife bragged Memorial Day weekend 2019. For it's my daughter, her husband dates. He met her in Ravenna when she was having a stomach spell. It's for my daughter. They did all this for. And our family watching her doing this. And for who's Karen's rich boyfriend but the state of Ohio who protects her? A white woman, food counter, talking to an African American man, screaming it out for Walmart. They found it November, December, as down at Fine Arts and Leaders. We found the tape of that idiot woman bragging they did all this for her daughter. Yeah, Judge Pete's wife. Looks like a little white Santa Claus. Seen him around me for years. Picture was hanging on the wall. Peter something. 9/18/19. And it's him. He was down here right before Christmas. Drove by Paul's apartment in a beat-up truck with some other guy and said, I told you it's not funny what's going on down here. Well, I seen what they did to her head. The chip. You can't kidnap people and do illegal surgeries. Yeah. I'll tell you what, they'll throw these people under the bus so quick it'll be absolutely ridiculous. They'll be saying, Karen, we all know you're an informant. Our police did not illegally surveillance you before Will. No, and I'm sorry that officer raped you. It's going to go down like that.
You wait. Because illegal surveillance is always thrown out and they have to compensate the victim. They had no right in my home. That way we wouldn't have. They did all this for my daughter. Let alone we stayed out the gunshot night because Steve's girlfriend's prettier and the guy running it don't blame us. Drugging me may be damaging my heart. May have a septal infract in my heart now. A chip in my head. Publicly humiliated, raped, and tortured. Put on the internet all for her fucking daughter. They better be fixing this. And fixing it fast. And these people need to get some common sense to be afraid. Because what's going to stop him from doing it to them?